everybody and welcome back to Nerd Goblin Art. I'm Lula and today I'm working on these little moulds that came through from Temu. So I got them a while back and it wasn't until I saw Tracy on Mini Scenes using her Tiny Turner pigment with isopropyl alcohol, because these moulds are quite fiddly, so I hadn't done them while I was thinking about how to do them. So when I saw her video, separate videos, one of her doing this with the isopropyl alcohol, and then a second video she used that the make from that mould onto a trinket box, and I just loved the way it looked after using the isopropyl alcohol. The effect, it looked quite old, and I wanted these to look kind of old, if you know what I mean. So I thought I'd use that technique on these. So big thanks to Tracy from Mini Scenes GP, for sharing that the other week. I do eventually get the knack for it. I quickly remembered that Tracy said you had to keep stirring it, and it's silly really, because when you put these, you know, into needle nose bottles, which I have done before, to mix in for making jewellery, you do really have to shake it. It's the same with inks, alcohol inks, because it sinks to the bottom. So I do go back over them in a little bit as well. So this is, it takes a couple of minutes, so I will play you some music shortly whilst I've sped you up. And I would just like to remind you to check in the description box for discount codes, and also there's links there for my Instagram and my Facebook. And if possible, I would really appreciate comments and shares. It really helps my channel, and I'm hoping to grow further with you guys. I've put a piece of paper underneath today just to decrease the amount of mess from getting any pigments on my silicone mat, because it is just a pain in the backside to clean up. So there we go. I'm going to play you some music now whilst I crack on, so I'm not wittering away. Okay, so you saw me there getting out a brown mica powder from Let's Resin. That was only because I realised that these colours from Tiny Turner, nothing was suitable for like the stalks of the mushrooms and stuff. So I just mixed that in a little bit and that's fine. And as I said earlier, I mixed it in a bit. Ta-da! And look, it's empty. Got no more black Let's Resin. Sad times. So I put this through my debubbler and I've got these guys sitting on a tin. On a this is a tin that I keep in my studio when I do any mix with clay and such. It's just so that I can easily move it over to another table because I have other things to be getting on with after I've done this pour. I'm pouring from on high. I'm aware that there's obviously there's isopropyl alcohol within the mix of the pigment, and I tried not to put too much in because I didn't want it to affect my resin curing. So I'm pouring from on high, making my stream nice and thin in the hopes that bubbles will kind of pop on the way down. So I'm not sure at this point whether the resin, this is Istoyo epoxy resin. It's a 1-to-1. I don't have a great stock. I've got like craft resin, I've got some Let's Resin, a few different versions, but I don't have what would be, I don't know, considered as a like more a liquidy form. I will be looking into that though. So anyone got any recommendations, please do let me know. So I had to go carefully and slowly with these, and like I say, I was aware that this resin might have been a little bit too thick to get into all the swirls. I wasn't too concerned, in all honesty, of getting all of them, but I wanted just a few for what I have in mind, because you know, when I demold these, it's not the end of the video. This is part of the resin is part of a mixed media project that I'm doing, which obviously I'm gonna share with all of you in this one video. So I'm just using my silicone tool to tease some resin down into those smaller, like it's where the little plants and stuff are going. I'm not confident at this point that it's even going to come out anyway, because it's one of those moulds that I don't think is meant for this, although it's advertised as being such. It's probably more for maybe chocolate or something. I don't know, but I got them all the same because when I saw them, yeah. So the waiting game, and as if by magic, 5 hours later, literally, we're ready to demold. Now, this has to be done carefully. You can't just go haphazard. So I carefully make my way around. I knew that was broken by there because I could see that it wasn't actually properly in there. So that's the one with the snail and the mushrooms. And this one, obviously you can see it's the raven. Realising that there's some, right, yeah, use your dotting. If you've got dotting tools or anything like that, just be gentle. I found that teasing them out gently from underneath and trying not to obviously cause any damage to the mould. But these dotting tools are rounded off at the ends. So I was just being really careful and wary of that. I flipped it over quickly so you couldn't see. Haha. This one was a bit, I honestly thought that this one was going to be trickier, but as you saw then, the one snail just popped straight out. But when I filled them, you just did see me with the silicone tool, you know, making sure that the resin was going down. I think that I only lose maybe one antennae from one of the snails, which I think is pretty good. This one I'm being more careful on because I can definitely see, you can't probably see it on the screen, but one of these mushrooms, it's being held on. It didn't have a great deal of resin. It's being held on by, I don't know what, because there wasn't clear resin, but it looks clear, which there wasn't. So I'm not sure. But it was holding on, so it's easily sorted. It can be easily sorted later on as long as I'm careful. So we got that off. They were very slightly bendy, but that was fine. So this is exactly the look I'm going for. I wanted this kind of oldie. Obviously I got trimming to do on that, definitely trimming, but I'm not going to be able to do that on camera. I need to be able to concentrate, and I need it close to my face because I've reached that. See that stem? It's just there, but it's not there. And look at the little snails. I love snails. They're so sweet. I love them. They're so cute. I don't know why, I've always found them cute. This one has a little snail on his back as well, and that one came out too. So just a slight tiny bit of trimming, but in all honesty, they'll probably just peel away tomorrow. Now, I had some resin left over, and I remembered that this was in my drawer. This is another little mould from Temu. So again, the legs are super skinny. So dotting tool to the rescue once more. It works for me, so I'm happy. And there you go. So it's like a steampunk sparrow. And I think it's really cute. It's cool. No, I really like it. So what's happening with these guys? Well, I bought these from the works, and I'm removing the screws, and we're off on an adventure into my jungle of a little wilderness. My garden. This is where I do, and Mr. Goblin does, a lot of spraying when we're doing making things and such, priming stuff. So I'm just using a black spray to prime these coffins. Yeah, some followers on my Facebook page found it funny when I said I'm off to spray some coffins. It's not weird at all, is it? So, okay, back to studio. Oh, it's like magic, isn't it? This editing. So here they are, they're sprayed. And next is going to be basically dressing the coffins up. These little makes will be going on them, but not straight away. I got things to do, which I'm going to be carrying on with tomorrow, which you'll see in a moment. So we'll get to that shortly. And I'm back. It's the following day. These have nicely dried, and I'm using dioxine purple and titanium white. These are good quality paints. You can use, your student grade style paints as well, but you may find that you have to do more than one layer. So I'm going to start with just painting on the purple. I'm not concerned about the black showing through in part. This purple is so dark, not forgetting that when acrylic paints dry, they do dry darker. So it is a very dark purple, but I want it for, you know, to build on the colours. I didn't want these just to look like a box that was painted. You know what I mean? I wanted it to have some form of, I can't think of the words. It's the time of day for me. I'm very tired. You might see me brushing off on my kitchen roll. That's just slightly on the top side of the camera there, and that's just to get a bit of excess paint off. You know, I want like an almost like dry brushy effect as well. So, and the great thing about acrylic paints is they do dry quite quickly if you're not pouring any extenders into them. And I just sped you up here because you don't need to be watching, you know, you don't need it in real time unless you really want it. And obviously leave a comment and I will happily oblige in future videos. You can see there on parts where I didn't quite get all the areas as well with the black spray paint. So going over with the very dark purple is great because it helps cover that up and give it a better job. I probably should have paid more attention when I was spraying, to be honest with you, but there you go. That is what we have. And at this point, I am adding more titanium white to the mix because I want to have more highlights. And I've also switched to this brush is my Princeton Grainer brush. All you really need, if you don't have, because I do paint, I do have a lot of, I have a large variety of brushes, but to achieve more of the dry brushing effect, you just basically need a brush you're comfortable with, like a hog or something with quite firm bristles, and you'll be fine. I barely touched the water with this brush to start me off, and I'm really, you can see on the kitchen paper in the back that I've been using for months now and building on is like a dry board almost now, a dry brush board. I practically take off all the paint that I put on, and occasionally if I've had too much I will just go back over it with the purple colour if I'm not happy with that colour. And in a moment, just because I want the coffins to have a bit more character, I'm going to go more into the white and start working on the edges, just like this. It's barely any paint on the brush, and this is where I start building up the highlights, so to speak, and doing it in a rough motion. And I will slow it down again for you just to show, because the paint is just on the very edge. And it just means there's a bit more control, although I know that it looks chaotic because it is sped up. You see? Stroke and pull away. And I'm going to do it down on the edges as well. And I don't even mind that lighter bit because, you know, it just makes it look more interesting than just a painted box or a coffin. More moody. So, all dry now. I didn't feel the need to show you me painting the other ones because I was doing exactly the same thing, but they're all dry and all good. So what I'm doing is I'm working out what I want where. I've decided to save the sparrow for another time for something else. I really, really do love the snail and the mushrooms. What you're seeing me doing right now isn't necessarily what we end up with. It was just me fiddling around, just thinking. And what I'm thinking right now is it needs more. And that's when I had an idea. So I've got my JDiction UV resin and one of my last needle nose bottles. I need to order more. And I've got the golden, I think it's a colour shifting Let's Resin powder. I'm sure it'll be fine. I quickly realised that I needed something to actually get the mixture down into the bottle, because I can't like fit anything really down there to mix it in. So just popping in some UV resin. My hand is cupped over it because I'm aware of this is all natural light. I'm not using any lamps whatsoever. This is the amount of light that I have in my studio. I usually have like a sail up across my but we've taken it down for repair. So I haven't got that to protect me a bit more from the natural light. So I'm doing this quickly, and I'm amazed. I am frankly amazed that I'm not making a mess. Because I can be quite clumsy. Will she spill it? The answer is no, for once. I haven't actually made a mess today, and I'm really proud of myself. Yeah. I've noticed that so many of us are quite clumsy. I'm good at spilling things when I shouldn't. At this moment, I was like, need to cover this. So got some, all I had was Gorilla tape. And it's really strong stuff. Oh, you could take off you could take off your fingers with that stuff when you're stuck on it. But that's all I had, and I needed something. So I'm going in, and I want to create some kind of designs. I've not looked anything up. I kind of wish that I had taken a few moments to look on my phone, perhaps, and Google an idea, but I didn't. I just started going for it. It's my first time doing something like this, so it's perhaps a little rough and ready, but I like it, and it's, I did it, so I'm happy with it, and I'm impressed that it worked. I wasn't sure in regards to the resin going on the wood, but it is fine, and it's going to be fine. If there are a few blotches that end up happening because I just wasn't quick enough, or I wasn't thinking it through enough, but that's fine as well. I'm good. I'm just using the torch just to make sure that it is hard, and at the end of the video I do put them into under my lamp, and for a good 5 minutes as well. You can tell that I had no plan. But to be honest with you, I was quite enjoying myself. I was like, ooh, look at that. Ooh, look at that. Ooh. Using my dotting tool just to make sure that it is actually set, because I don't want to go leaning on anything. So I'm just doing a final check of positioning, and I kind of should have done this with the other coffin lid, was holding on to the resin piece so I could actually know where not to go. So thankfully, nothing interferes with the snail and the mushroom one. But I can mark. Perhaps I could have attached them by now, but I wasn't sure, because I wasn't sure what I was going to do. Part of me considered using charms that I put into jewellery. I usually just snip off the hoops. If you've seen previous videos, I just snip off the connections and use them. And I did consider using some of those, but they're like metal, and the attachments for these coffins are the brassy type gold. So it was do I sit here, you know, messing about with painting or using the pen on the charms, or could I come up with something a little bit more creative? So I went creative. I guess using the charms is creative as well, but it's a quicker, I think, is a quicker fix, and I wouldn't not do that when I next have a go at doing these. You know what I mean? I have got more of these coffins. They came from a shop in the UK called The Works, and they're only £2 each. You know, I think that's awesome. You know, as soon as I saw that they were available on, like, I think I saw it on my Facebook feed. You know, I grabbed a few of them. They're quite popular, I think, because they had to go. They had to go in the back room to see if they had any left. So, yeah, I think they're really handy. I also picked up some, like, bigger chests and stuff. I've painted them before. I've painted on them before in the past, but I thought these would be really cool for stuff like this, for the mixed media, you know. And can you see there, I got a little bit adventurous, a little bit more popular, a bit more confident, I should say, more popular. And almost done like a tree of life type thing. But in my head, it is the tree of life. Looking at it now, it doesn't look like it so much, but it did in my head, and it does in my head. So there. And I think it's pretty awesome considering I had no plan. And on this one, I'm like, oh, like a sunflower type thing. You know, I was trying my best as much as I could to, like, mimic one side to the other. So I don't think it's a terrible job. In my mind, I know it's a sunflower. It could be a spider, could be anything, who knows? But I think they're cool. It's quite addictive, actually. I was like, ooh, where else can I dot? What else can I do? So yeah, I'm definitely going to order in some more of these needle nose bottles. I used a bunch of them to decant all of my alcohol inks, because when I first started using resin, I didn't realise that you needed to stick a pin in the nibs, and I ended up trimming them and they were just making a mess. So I ordered in a bunch of those and I used them instead. Now, I am happy with that, but the gold is too gold. So I've got my gold chrome marker, which is a slightly different tone. It can give almost like a dull highlight. I don't know if I'm best describing it. What I'm doing is I'm popping on, and then I was wiping off with my, like, dabbing it with my finger, and then I was like, this is just silly, I'm just going to make a mess. So I grabbed a cotton bud, just so as I was putting on, you can see as I put it on, I use the cotton bud and dab it. It works. I wasn't properly thinking it through. I was thinking about dry brushing afterwards, but I thought that's just going to make, I need more control. I didn't want a mess made on the actual coffin. So this seemed like the best option for this. I'm sure there's other techniques that are probably better, but for me, not messing up the coffin. So I was happy doing this. I wanted to match it with the more of the colour of the box's hinges and clasp. So doing this, I think, well, you'll see in the end pictures, I do think that this really made a big difference and helped the effect. It was actually quite relaxing. I think I can see why people do like dotting now. Oh, we just had a delivery through the door, and Mr. Goblin had shut my studio door because the cats were on the chair. The cats don't like it when that door gets closed, and they are obviously bugging me as to why the door is closed, even though they weren't out in there. They are just incredibly nosy cats. I didn't have just Calcifer jumping up. I also had Bilbo, whose paw you can see in the top corner, and he started chewing my my camera bar. So I'm so sorry about the wibbly wobbling. There you go. So check that out. I think it's good. I think it helped give a different dimension to the resin. So I'm quite pleased with that. So I've seen Daniel Cooper try this out, but I don't know where the idea originally came from, and that would have been disastrous. Did you see me cover up my pigment powder then before I sprayed? That's a hair lacquer. You can get all sorts. I've seen his video where he tried it out, because obviously these pieces were dry, and trying to adhere anything to them, I was using the sparrow as a sacrilegious lamb bird thing. I was really happy with these, but I wanted a bit more colour. I wanted just a few more pops here and there. So I've used the method that I seen Daniel Cooper try out. I don't think it's something I think it was something one of his followers suggested to him from seeing someone else, but we don't know who that someone else was. So if you do know, obviously mention it in the comments. And it works. You know, you can put UV resin on, yes, and then add on your more pigment powder, and then UV again. I didn't want to do that because I don't want them to look shiny or glossy. I want them to look aged. I want them to look old. But because I was really wary about doing the isopropyl alcohol mixed with the pigments when I first done these moulds, I didn't get enough in places that I wanted it. So although incredibly happy with how they came out, I just wanted to create more of a pop. And where the Raven is concerned, they're not black. Ravens are not just black. They have so many colours within their feathers, and I just wanted to get that over in this piece. So I just wanted to do a mixture of a few different colours on the ends of his feathers to make him look good. And what I do is, when this is finished, oh, and I didn't get no pigment came out on the mushrooms, which I realised. And yes, I'm impatient. I used my heat gun to gently get the hair lacquer to dry quicker so I could crack on with what I was doing. So I'm just using some Nick Pro. It's their purplish type red chameleon powder. Just putting that on the mushrooms just to give it a little extra. It's not completely on. It looks worn, it looks old, it looks aged, it looks like it's been there forever. And again, with the snail's shell, I just wanted just a touch more. Not crazy, I haven't gone nuts with it. I just wanted that slight different, little bit of slight different. And again, on the Raven as well, to give him some point of interest and tie him in as well with the colour on the coffins. So I'm really pleased with that, and I'm really pleased that Daniel Cooper shared it from, look at that. So I didn't go crazy, as you see, I just put more elements on. And, I'm not showing you till now. There we go. So I wanted to give you a final reveal. So what I did was I glued on the resin pieces, and then I reattached all the parts, the hinges and the clasp. You didn't need to see that, it was just reattaching. And then I sprayed them with, well, spray varnish, just because I wanted to lock those pigment powders in without having to go over them with resin, UV resin, because I didn't want them to be shiny. I wanted them to look oldish and weathered. So, what do you think? Thank you for watching. Love you. Stay weird.